Has the United States given you any guarantee that its substantial military and development aid that it gives to Egypt every year will continue, despite the fact that formally the United States doesn't financially support governments in countries where a democratically elected government has been overthrown by the military? Well, you'll know there's a lot of fear around the world about what could happen in the event of force being used. Human Rights Watch, among others, say that any attempt to disperse the crowds forcibly will lead to another bloodbath. Do you agree with that? Despite the fears of what will happen as a result of any attempt to use force, you don't seem to be able to give me a guarantee that force will not be used, that remains an option on the table. Let me ask you about the former president, Mr. Morsi. Any long-term settlement is going to have to embrace him in some way. Where is he? Where is he being held? Let me just ask you about the way in which the military intervened a few weeks ago. In the weeks leading up to the removal of President Morsi, according to the Wall Street Journal, there were a series of meetings between Egypt's top generals and leaders of the opposition. The army spokesman, Colonel Ahmed Ali himself, admitted that there was a process of getting to know people that previously the military had little dealings with. They met, according to the newspaper, often in the Naval Officers Club on the Nile. Now, if that's true, it starts to look much less like an emergency response by the army and much more like something more planned, more orchestrated between the military and the opposition, doesn't it? Another development that many human rights observers find very sinister is the reconstitution of the State Security Investigation Service, a part of the police force that was notorious under the Mubarak regime and which was disbanded after the 2011 revolution, and it's back. And again, people will see in that the return of the old Mubarak establishment coming back on the coattails of this remarkable popular uprising that you've mentioned several times. Aida Saif al-Dalwala, again, the human rights activist, says these police units committed the most atrocious human rights violations, incommunicado detentions, killings outside the law. These were the units that managed the killing of Islamists during the 1990s, and they're back. You can understand, can't you, why many people who want a change of regime in Egypt see that as something sinister. Is there a question mark, Mr. Fahmy, over your own legitimacy to govern? You were a loyal defender, a loyal supporter of the Mubarak government, not a political figure, a career diplomat, but your career has been spent in serving the Mubarak government, and many people will see you as part of the old establishment returning. Hasn't Egypt sent out quite a dangerous signal to the rest of the region? The signal being to Islamists elsewhere that there's simply no point in taking part in elections, because if you win those elections, if you get your hands anywhere near the levers of power, the old establishment will find a way to get rid of you. And that's, in a sense, an invitation to Islamists everywhere to choose other ways of trying to get hold of power. But the fly in the ointment is that President Morsi, tens of millions of people, also turned out at the ballot box and cast their votes in favour of President Morsi. So he had a democratic legitimacy that, with the greatest of respect to you, your government lacks. And yet he's demonstrating that he still has a lot of support on the streets. And if you stick to your timetable and hold those elections within a year, within 9 months, then there's a reasonable chance that he might win elections again.